Hey guys, Super Rugby Pacific Round 8 is done and dusted. The fantasy points are now locked in. We'll take a look and see which players were the big scorers this week, which players were a bit of a bust. Before we do that though, a quick recap on the fixtures just to see how they went relative to my expectations going into this round. First up, we had Chiefs versus the Reds, 27-15. It was very wet this game. That did put a damper on the fantasy scoring as well. I was aware of this. I said this in the best picks video. I think staying away from this game was for the best. After that, Moana versus Waratahs. I was expecting this to be a high scoring affair. I was expecting Moana to win as well. After that first half, I really wasn't so sure. It looked like Waratahs were going to be the team who were going to do all the scoring, but that second half, Moana went kind of crazy. The Indrua versus the Crusaders, I really wasn't sure how this game would go. I thought the Crusaders would win, but I thought it might be kind of close. Just the Indrua at home in Fiji. Yeah, just in general with the Indrua, you never really know how things are going to go, but the Crusaders did put on a decent amount of points in the end. There were a few points on offer, although nothing crazy. Blues versus Hurricanes, very tight affair, albeit in pretty good conditions. In my best picks video, I did say this one would be close and probably on the low scoring side, just because the Blues, despite the struggles they've had, their defense has still been pretty good. And with the Hurricanes, honestly, their defense has picked up as well. So yeah, low scoring affair. Not many points on the scoreboard means not many fantasy points either generally. And then Force versus the Highlanders in Perth. This game really proved my undoing this week. I did think the Highlanders would win, and I thought there was a decent chance that they might put some decent points on the Western Force as well, but that is not how this game played out, unfortunately. They looked great for that first 20 minutes, but then the Force came back into it. In the second half, the Highlanders got those cards and they just went to bits. And yeah, this really has proved a bad misread for me this week, unfortunately. I've overrated the Highlanders a bit, and yeah, it's cost me, which we will see if we jump across and look at how my team went this week. So yeah, you can see a couple of major busts in the outside backs for me, which really, yeah, it's just been a disastrous round for me, unfortunately. The big one is Caleb Tangitau. Made him my captain, ended up with 2 points. And look, a lot of people have Caleb Tangitau. He's been really strong this year, but this game, that first 40 minutes he played is probably the worst I've seen him play all year. He was just dropping the ball, he was missing tackles, nothing was really going for him. And then he didn't come back on at halftime. I presume that he was injured because Talair was the bench. He's a midfielder, so that couldn't have been contended. I haven't heard the news since, but he's got to be injured. And yeah, a lot of people have Tangitau, so whether he does good or bad, usually it doesn't matter that much when a lot of people have that one player, but because I made him that captain, yeah, that's a major setback for me, unfortunately. And on top of that, Kyron Taumai Falau, I mean, Pacifica, they scored so many points in this game, 40 plus points. Taumai Falau, he did not get any of it whatsoever. Only 5 points. The ball, it just did not come his way. And yeah, I feel like this guy, I mean, he's boom bust, but I feel like the key thing is he doesn't really come off his wing. He doesn't go looking for the ball. So when he's at 14, he's spending a lot of time in the backfield, and for whatever reason, Moana Pacifica, they're always going right to left. The ball, when they spread it, it's always going to that left wing, and when that's happening, yeah, I feel like when Taumai Falau's not playing at number 11, bit of a red flag there, and yeah, I've really gone cold on this pick now. Jonah Nareki, he was playing really well that game. 48 points isn't bad. Did end up getting yellow carded in the second half, unfortunately, which meant he just didn't get that extra time to score more points, and it was really unlucky. It was a team yellow card for accumulated penalties in the red zone, and just really unlucky to get hit with this. And overall, I just feel like I got really unlucky in the outside backs this week, so unfortunately. Suoli'i, he was amazing this week, one of the top scorers overall, and this guy, he's pretty much going to be a lock in the midfield slot, I think, going forward, because he's just so dangerous whenever he's got the ball in hand. He can get away from people, he can make those line breaks, and he's got distribution skills as well. Can't kick very well, but I mean, that's even better because you don't get points for kicking in fantasy, so the more inclined he is to carry, the better it is for us. Corey Evans, he was a real bust here, only 10 points, and I wasn't super confident in this pick, but I didn't like what else was going on in the midfield, so did miss out on some points here, unfortunately, but not a huge amount like in the outside backs. D-Mac, 35 points this week. Not that great by his standards, but again, it was wet conditions in Hamilton for that game. And I did mention that in the best picks video, and was honestly super close to picking Patrick Pellegrini. As the way things played out, it wouldn't have made much of a difference. I think he got maybe even slightly less points than McKenzie. Nathan Hastie, only 11 points. And again with the Highlanders, just the match, it didn't go the way I thought. I picked Hastie because he does like to snipe a bit around the rucks that can lead to line breaks and good fantasy points, but it did not happen this week. Roygaard, he didn't do amazing this week either, so not a major loss there, but it still kind of stings a bit. In the back row, Sevilla and Tizzano doing great as always. Tizzano getting those tries off the backs of the maul, and Adi, he's just a beast, and Moana, they went a bit crazy that game as well, and he got a lot of points off the back of that. Lasanga, he was a bit of an outside pick. He was my softest pick out of all the back row. I did actually want to swap him for Harry Wilson, but just didn't get around to doing it, unfortunately. Not a major loss, and I think if the game went the way I thought it would, it probably would have paid off, because he was quite good in that game, and he did show signs of what I like about him. He's good at running the ball in an open game, but just didn't quite work out this week. And the locks in the front five, got a bit lucky here. Shalfern got a try, really bumped his score up. Selby Rickett not doing much in the lock slot, don't really care, but going forward, I think, I really got to focus on just picking locks that stay on the park for the full 80. I knew Selby Rickett was going to get subbed, and I probably should have not stuck with him, but not much difference there. Almoa only getting 33 points in the hooker slot, not that great, unfortunately, but I mean, that could have been a mistake. I did know that Blues versus Hurricanes game was going to be close. Although the Canes, they did go to their maul a lot that game. They did in fact get one maul try, although it ended up being awarded to Braden Iose. So maybe a little bit unlucky there. That could have very easily ended up being Almoa's try, or any of those mauls could have been. And if he got that try, he would have had a good score. So not feeling too bad about that pick. And with the props, not a lot going on here, but hey, it's the props. Anyway, let's jump across to the main screen and just have a look at each category and see how all the other players went. So over here we have the top 13 scorers for the rounds in all positions, all teams. The top is actually a prop this week, and if you watch this game, you'll know why. This guy, he just went absolutely crazy, ended up scoring 3 tries, and he's such a beast. He's a big beast. He's so dangerous close to the line. He can just power through defenders and get those extra inches over the line, and that's what happened this game. Pretty much all of his tries coming from close range, just powering through, and that kind of puts him on the radar, just generally speaking. I mean, it looks like he's mostly been coming off the bench in all his other games. Hasn't done much in any of them, but Yeah, in those matchups where Moana, when they'll be able to compete up front, like, he might not be a bad option to consider, just because, yeah, if the Moana get a penalty, they get to peg that corner, they get to bang away. Like, this is a guy who's a serious try-scoring opportunity. We saw that this game, and I feel like he's probably going to be getting more starts going forward, so definitely one to keep in the memory banks. After him, next to Riley for the Waratahs, the left winger, 71 points, got his 2 tries, and yeah, a bit of a lesson here is, like, guys that you don't really know a lot about, if they're a number 11, if they're the left wing, like, if the matchup is right, if they're in a team that's gonna go well, they're never a bad pick to consider. And yeah, this guy kind of showing it here, coming away with 70 points, which is a good haul. And Joseph Suali'i, 70 points without a try to his name, a bunch of try assists, line breaks, line break assists, tackle busts. Like, he was an absolute beast this week, and I said in my best picks video, he looked good in that Canes game, did well to get 36 points despite his team only scoring 12 overall. So yeah, he's really proving he is the real deal. He's super dangerous on the field and in fantasy. He will likely stay locked in my midfield going forward. After that, Adi Sevilla also on 70 points. Not a lot needs to be said here. Adi is a beast. I counted him out a few times, but not anymore. Can't go wrong with him. Will Jordan, 62 points. Not a huge haul by his, well, he is a fullback, so that is always pretty good for a fullback, but yeah, he's pretty high up the list just because in general there was no super high scores this round. None of that stuff like, 90, up around 90s, 100. So yeah, he ended up being a great pick, and you can never go wrong picking Will Jordan. I mean, really, I should have picked him as well, but yeah, I really just wasn't sure how that Crusaders game was going to go. Carlo Tizzano, again, just another guy who just keeps getting points because he keeps scoring tries, because he's always at the back of the maul with the ball. You're never going to go wrong with Tizzano, and he's just a great player in general around the park as well. Couple of turnovers, makes a lot of tackles, carries strongly. Look at these defenders beaten. So yeah, excellent players, one of the players of this season. Noah Hotham, I did mention this guy in my best picks video. He is the top scoring halfback. Only 1 try, buffering out his points, but yeah, I was really big on this guy at the start of the season as being a legitimate fantasy option, just because he is so heavily inclined to snipe around the ruck, that creates those line breaks, gets the offloads, tries this, all that good stuff. So yeah, things really worked out well for him the way that in draw game played out. He found a lot of space around the edges. So yeah, really, really great pick there. And we're starting to get into the logjam a bit from here on down. Like, one thing that really contrasts this from previous rounds is that there's hardly any back 3 here compared to how there usually is. You got props, loose forwards, more loose forwards. Usually it's all outside backs. So yeah, quite an interesting week from a fantasy perspective. And if we go position by position, having a quick look at the back 3, we've already talked about most of them. Nareki ended up being one of the better ones. Harry Potter, Tavanawa getting his customary 40-something points. He was a beast that game, but yeah, he never gets huge rewards despite how busy he is. Bihaki doing pretty well as well. Got a try for himself. And if we have a quick look at percent selected, a lot of people still rocking Mark Talea, but yeah, the way that game played out, yeah, pretty much a bust. It's just wasn't a lot going on. Same with Naholo, 16% picking him, probably after his huge haul against the Waratahs. But yeah, this was always going to be a tough matchup. Not a lot went his way. Reese was the other big one. We talked about this in the best picks video. He was starting at center this game, and the way fantasy works, you just do not get rewarded playing in the midfield like you do playing in the outside back. So yeah, he was not a great pick this week. We knew that, but hey, look, still would have worked out better than Tangi Tau and Tau Moe for Lau, so I can't really talk. And yeah, we're sort of getting down to where you got a lot of people who aren't really adjusting their teams, stuck with a few guys. Ruben Love, not a lot for him either, being in that game. Macca Springer, not a lot for him. Things just didn't go his way. And then we get these Chiefs players as well. Like, again, it was in the rain. We did talk about this in the best picks video. You can't pick outside backs in matches that are really wet. It's not going to work out very well for you. Looking at the midfield now, Suoli'i miles ahead. The interesting one, Fine Anisi. Finally, one of the Anisi brothers is back. They've both been out injured for so long. He came off the bench for this game, and yeah, look at this. Only one try to his name, but otherwise, yeah, racking in a 50-point haul, couple of line breaks, doing some good stuff in the time that he had. If he gets some starts going forward, definitely a guy I would seriously consider, especially with this Moanga team being resurgent. Tana Umanga Jensen, 43 points. I mean, that's a pretty good effort from the midfield. Not a guy usually on my radar. He carries really hard, but he's always carrying hard into a lot of traffic. So, you know, it's hard to come through on the other side and get those line breaks. And then beyond that, straight away, we're sort of into the 30s, 20s, the really average sort of stuff we see from the midfields. Having a quick look at the most selected guys. A lot of people went for Tupaia this week, 52% of people, 27 points. I mean, not terrible for midfield, but not really fantastic either. And again, we talked about it in the rain. It's just, you know, you're never going to get a massive score. It's just too hard. Balin Sullivan, 30 points, you know, solid, but again, nothing to write home about. Rico, only 13. Look, we all know, I've been saying since the start of the season, Rico is just a terrible pick, and that has not changed. And yeah, beyond that, we're down to the guys who are stuck in teams that people aren't adjusting anymore. Now with the fly halves, I did say in the best picks video to think seriously about alternatives to DMAC just because of that rain. Willie Havili ended up being the guy this week. Moana, they had that huge win, and yeah, like when a game is open, we know how good Willie Havili can be. And yeah, especially towards the back end of that game, he started popping up in all the right places, and look, he's a fantastic class player and racks up yet another great score. Bowden Barrett was second with 40 points, and he was one of the guys I pointed out as an alternative to DMAC. I steered away from him just because I thought that this game would be close. It turns out it was, but still he got a decent haul of points in the end. So it was the same in this Brumbies game as well. He got 65 points in one half. So yeah, DMAC, he's not a bad pick. Obviously, he got a lot of points from, you know, it was a close game. They were kicking the penalties, but still, he got this plus 10 for the defenders beaten as well. 3 offloads. Like, yeah, Bowden's a serious guy to consider, especially when the Blues come up against those weaker teams, which they will in the latter half of this season. I think he will be a serious pick. Like, you could justify it over picking McKenzie. If the Chiefs happen to have a tough game that week, they're playing the Crusaders or the Hurricanes or something, you might seriously want to consider Barrett. Especially if McKenzie keeps starting at 10. I do feel like it's better when he starts at fullback. I feel like his scoring prospects are a lot better than at 10. So yeah, might be a bit more to think about in this slot going forward. Not much to write home about elsewhere. So looking at the halfbacks, we talked about Noah Hotham, how he is a guy on the radar. One guy who isn't though is Teddy Wilson. Came away with 56 points this week, only one try. And yeah, this guy, he is good. Like, he has looked good in other games as well. And I think he is one to remember. If the matchup is right, if the Tars are playing a weaker team, he could be a live option. And yeah, there's daylight between second and third here. Ratamel was third off the rank. Only 27 points though. Not a lot to write home about. Roygaard, 26. Again, this is everybody's guy, but look, this game, it was always going to be close. There was 2 points between them earlier in the season. This time around, there was only 1 point between them. Like, when you got good defenses, there's just, you know, you're not going to get a lot of fantasy points. And if we look at most selected, pretty much everyone's going for Roygaard. Next best, 5.3% Ratimer. So yeah, everyone's all in on Roygaard, but he was not the play this week. I went for Hasty, didn't work out, was actually worse. So yeah, I can't talk too much shit here. Loose forwards, Adi Severe, we talked about him. He was top this week, as always. Tizano as well. And these guys, they're pretty much the two locks for everybody. It's all about sort of who you're picking in the third slot these days. Harry Wilson, if we look at most selected, well, he's fourth. Karifi is third. Karifi, though, not a lot of points this week. And honestly, very rarely does he get a lot of points. You can see even Papali'i still gets picked quite a bit, but he's never scored a lot of points. So these guys are getting picked a lot on name recognition, but it's just not the way to play it in the back row. Tupotai Loa, number 8 for Moana, did pretty good. Got a try, 51 points. He's a big unit. You know, big units like that, they can get over the line. And Luke Jacobson, I kind of wrote him off as a pick. You can see from his history here, not a lot of points. Did get a try this game, which sort of padded his score out a bit. Doing pretty good in the wet. Joe Brio as well. He got that try where he basically out-sprinted Narawa to chase a kick and scored a controversial try in the wet. And yeah, look, 18 tackles, a couple of turnovers forced, a couple of line-out to line break assists. Pretty good innings from him. He hasn't done much in the past, but he's been one of those guys coming off the bench, not in this force game, but previous to this. Not really a guy I'm putting on my radar. There's just too many other good options in the Reds loose trio. Harry Wilson is one of them. 40 points, pretty solid. Yeah, I mean, probably should have gone with Harry Wilson over Lasanga. And having a quick look at percent selected, a lot of people still picking these Hurricanes. Yose did pretty good at 39. Lakai kind of surprised me. I really expected him to be good. He's such a good ball carrier, but this year he's probably been the worst out of all the Hurricanes loose forwards, just from a fantasy points perspective. So, and he's playing at number 8 as well. He should get the opportunity to carry the most out of all of them, but yeah, it's not working out this season. Getting into the type 5 lock, Shelfern was top. He did get a try that sort of padded things out for him. Josh Berry, he was second place, 39 points, very good for a lock. No try, so this is actually pretty immense. And I have mentioned this in my previous videos, this guy Josh Berry, he is very good. He doesn't get a lot of attention, but he is very good. So if he does keep starting, I might be inclined to pick him. Wanga doing pretty good this week, but did get a try. Wakalia Wary, he got a couple of turnovers this game, which has really pushed his score up to something decent. And it was kind of the same last week against the Waratahs as well. He came off the bench very early and Yeah, I thought he actually got some steals. This says he doesn't, but he was definitely threatening a lot of turnovers that game as well. So yeah, he's kind of putting himself back on the radar too. And looking at the hookers, Matty Fezler was the top hooker for this week, 45 points. Not an exceptionally high score, but definitely one you will be happy with in the slot. Was padded out a bit by a try. Next was Pangamosa again. He got a try. He was lucky. Like, Carlo Tizzano's always stealing the tries, more tries at the force, so kind of surprising to see Pangamosa there. Dobbins for the Waratahs. Honestly, didn't expect to see this guy here, but yeah, he's got a real spread of points in different categories here. A line out steal kind of pushing him up. And Taukiaho, pretty good effort considering he came off the bench. Almoa, a bit disappointing, but we've already talked about it. It was a close game, so not a lot offer in general. And looking at who was selected, Cody Taylor was most selected, albeit only 15%, so it's not like everybody's picking him. 32 points, not a huge haul. I did recommend Cody in my best picks video just because I thought there would be a chance of more tries, but didn't pan out that way. Kind of another hooker who I've liked in the past, but yeah, like the draw just got destroyed at line out this game, and the kind of very score really suffered for it. -6 here, and it's not just the -6, you miss out from the points that you would have actually got for it being a successful liner as well. So yeah, really put him in the doldrums here, and yeah, that's a tough one to take. Riccatelli actually getting picked a lot despite being on the bench, but this could just be people who aren't really playing at all. I did mention McKenna as a potentially good pick for the first time in this last best picks video. Definitely didn't play out that way, but again, it's just because, yeah, I had the wrong read on how that game was going to play out. I thought the Highlanders would do a lot better in it than they did. And a quick look at the props. Some good scores from the props this week. Already talked about this one here. 3 tries. Don't know if that's a feat he will replicate, but definitely a guy to keep in mind. Renata got a try this game as well. That's kind of pushed him up a bit here. George Bauer didn't get a try, so pretty good. He's probably the best of the rest here, coming in with 34 points. Did get 2 turnovers forced, which has really pushed him up over that 30, but nothing else to write home about here. But not much lost, not much gained, whatever you did here. Man, 0.2% of people have this guy selected, so that's basically the people who signed up at the start and used that autofill my team button where it puts some random players. So not much to read into that one. And if we look quickly at most selected, it is Angus Bell and Tom Robertson, the 2 props that I had, and also Pierce as well. And yeah, neither of them did great this week. But look, what can you do? Doesn't really matter at the end of the day. Anyway, guys, hope you had a much better round than I did. Hopefully some of my picks, my worst picks, did not lead you into too much trouble this round. I'm quite disappointed with this one, but look, this is the nature of fantasy. I mean, sometimes the points, they don't go to your winger, they go to the other winger. Sometimes your captain, he gets injured, and yeah, that's part of the, you gotta ride the roller coaster and just hold on and hope things work out for you. Anyway, guys, that'll do it from me. Catch you on Thursday for the next best picks video. Hope to see you there. Otherwise, have a good week, and I'll catch you then.